A North American exclusive, the game of Harmony is a port of a late 80s game by the assembly line called E-Motion, or sometimes known as Sphericule. You control a spaceship, well, it's a white circle with a black arrow inside it, and need to nudge or otherwise corral pairs of darker circles together and make them touch. They then eliminate, with the aim of each level to get rid of all pairs. There are 3 colours of globe to match up. They have a triangle, diamond or square inside on the Game Boy version, and if 2 non-matching globes come into contact with each other, they spawn smaller globules of the 3rd type. So for instance, if a square touches a triangle, small diamond pods will be generated. You can collect these while they're still small for a little health bonus, otherwise they'll eventually turn into normal-sized ones. The globes are somewhat volatile. If you don't match them up in time, they explode and damage your ship. This isn't necessarily death, but it does so much damage that it's as good as. Some can be connected by strings which kind of drag each other around, but an interesting game mechanic is that the levels wrap around in all 4 directions. If a circle or your ship goes off the top of the screen, it will appear in the bottom of the screen, similar to how it works in Asteroids. It may take a little time to wrap your head around. Cheap pun, sorry. The selling point of the game is the kinetics involved. Your ship's controls are polar, whereby holding left or right rotates the ship and A propels you forward. You can flip over 180 degrees by pressing B, and the movement is very momentum-based. Objects collide and interact with each other very realistically, with velocities transferring in an accurate particulate fashion. There are 50 levels of ever-increasing difficulty, each with solid sections in various shapes acting as obstacles. Half the challenge is driving your craft without crashing. You don't take damage, but you pinball all over the place, which can send you careering into orbs that you didn't mean to, resulting in a load of spawns that you just don't have time to get rid of. Movement isn't exactly smooth or rapid either, due to the limitations of the system. This game was probably biggest and most successful on home computers. ZX Spectrum, Atari ST, Commodore 64, and MS-DOS all had good ports. The amount of moving and interacting objects on screen was probably too much of a computational stretch for the memory of our little handheld buddy. Not only is it very cramped and tough to make out pairs, but also means no memory could be spared for in-game music. The sound effects are as basic as they come and pretty nasty. Moreover though, when there are 7 or 8 pairs of globes, all of which need to interact independently with each other object on screen, as well as your own ship, there are just too many calculations for the Game Boy to cope with, and it renders the game of Harmony way too slow and sluggish to play with any level of success. A nice game on paper, and on computers, but this port doesn't really work. Thanks so much for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts on the game down below, and if you can spare a second, give the review a quick thumbs up, it really helps out. Subscribe to the Portable Power Podcast for a new Game Boy review every day from Monday to Friday. Or alternately, new episodes of the podcast drop every Saturday and Sunday on whichever platform you get your pods. See you later on.